Welcome to this quick dive into the Come Follow Me lesson for D&C 89. See the link in the description for the full podcast, brought to you by the Speak Peace to My Soul channel.
All right, so this week we're jumping into a really familiar one, Section 89, the Word of Wisdom. We're going to look at it from a few different angles. We'll see it as a principle with a promise, talk about its power to protect us, and of course cover the counsel for our body and spirit. Then we'll get into the amazing blessings the Lord promises and wrap up with how this all ties into being a sign of our covenants. It's going to be a great study, so let's dive in.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning with this first idea, a principle with promise. You know, it's so easy to just see the word of wisdom as a simple list of rules, right? A bunch of do's and don'ts. But the Lord actually introduces it in a way that's so much deeper. It's all about it being a guiding principle.
And you can feel that tenderness right here in the opening verse. It's given for a principle with promise, adapted to the capacity of the weak and the weakest of all saints. I mean, just listen to that language, a principle with promise. And who's it for? The weak and the weakest. Right away, that tells you this isn't some impossible standard for perfect people. Nope, it's a loving, gentle guide meant for every single one of us right where we are on our journey.
So what exactly does it mean that it's a principle? Well, Elder David A. Bednar gave this amazing definition. He called a principle a doctrinally based guideline for the righteous exercise of moral agency. I love that. So it's not a rigid black and white rule that covers every single little situation. It's more like an eternal truth that helps us guide our own choices. Think of it like a divine compass, pointing you in the right direction, not just a checklist to tick off. Okay, next up, protection from evils and designs. So if this is the guiding principle, the big question is, why did the Lord give it? And the answer is crystal clear in the Revelation. A huge part of it was for our protection.
You know, the Lord gives warnings because He loves us. He sees what's coming. And in a world that can feel pretty chaotic, the word of wisdom is exactly that. It's a loving warning, like a divine heads up for the kind of challenges that would be unique to our time.
And listen to how prophetic this is. In consequence of evils and designs which do and will exist in the hearts of conspiring men in the last days, I have warned you. Wow. Do and will exist. The Lord saw our day, almost 2 centuries ago. He knew that massive industries would spring up, designed to get people hooked on things that are harmful. This whole revelation was like a preemptive strike, a warning given way back then that is, you could argue, more relevant right now than it has ever been.
And I just love how President Boyd K. Packer described this. He said the word of wisdom is a shield and a protection unto our people. It's not just about physical health, right? He taught that it becomes a key piece of that whole armor of God. It's a spiritual shield that protects us from the adversary's attacks, especially those that come disguised as addictions that try to rob us of our agency.
All right, so we've talked about the why. It's a principle for our protection. Let's shift gears now to the what. Let's look at caring for body and spirit, the specific counsel the Lord gives us to take care of these incredible physical gifts we've been given.
So the counsel here is really twofold, isn't it? It tells us what to avoid, but it also tells us what to embrace. It warns us against things like alcohol, tobacco, tea, and coffee. And as Sister Barbara B. Smith pointed out, science has really caught up and verified just how harmful those things are. But it's not all don'ts. The Lord also gives this beautiful, positive guidance on what is good for us. Herbs, fruits in their season, eating meat sparingly, and that grains are ordained for us. It's such a complete, holistic approach to our well-being.
And this brings us to a really personal question, one that comes right out of the Come Follow Me manual. As we think about all this counsel, we're invited to ask ourselves, what are you prompted to do to better care for your body? And this isn't about comparison or feeling guilty. It's just a quiet moment to check in with the Spirit and ask, what's one thing I can do? It's about personal revelation for your own journey. Okay, let's talk about my favorite part, the Lord's promised blessings. Because here's the thing, the Lord never ever gives us a commandment without attaching just incredible blessings to it. And the word of wisdom is maybe one of the best examples of this. The promises here are just as powerful as the counsel is wise.
The Revelation lays out these 3 amazing connected promises. First, it starts with the physical. You'll have health in their navel and marrow to their bones.
That sounds pretty good. But then, look where it goes next, to the spiritual and the mental. It promises we will find wisdom and great treasures of knowledge. And then it promises this incredible kind of endurance, both physical and spiritual, that we shall run and not be weary, and shall walk and not faint. I mean, these are truly profound blessings.
And this is where we see that powerful link between our physical choices and our spiritual clarity. President Russell M. Nelson taught this so clearly. He said that obedience here doesn't just bring freedom from addiction, but it also adds these blessings of wisdom and knowledge. When our bodies are free and taken care of, it literally opens the door for our spirits to be more in tune, more receptive to the Holy Ghost. They're totally connected.
So here's another great question for us to ponder. How has the Lord fulfilled these promises in your life? Think about it for a second. Maybe it's something small, like just having more physical energy to get through the day. Or maybe it's been those big moments of spiritual clarity and insight that you just knew came from heaven. Taking a second to recognize those blessings, it really strengthens our desire to keep trying, doesn't it?
And that brings us to our last point, which you could argue is the most important of all, a sign of our covenant. Because beyond being a health law or a principle of wisdom, the word of wisdom is something even bigger. It's an outward sign of our inward commitment to God.
And this is the promise that just takes my breath away. And I, the Lord, give unto them a promise, that the destroying angel shall pass by them, as the children of Israel, and not slay them. This is the ultimate promise. It connects us directly back to the Passover. Just like the blood on the doorposts was a sign of faith and protection for ancient Israel, living this law becomes a sign for us, a sign of our covenant relationship with God that promises spiritual safety.
Yeah, President Nelson really drove this point home. He taught that keeping the word of wisdom is a spiritual law, and it's a sign that we're God's covenant people. When we make these choices day in and day out, we're sending a message to heaven. We're showing God that we remember Him, that we're willing to follow His prophets, and that we truly desire all the incredible blessings He has in store for His covenant people. So as we wrap up, we can see how it all fits together, can't we? The word of wisdom isn't just one thing. It's a divine principle to guide us. It's a shield to protect us. It's a plan for our health, and maybe most importantly, it's a sacred promise that's tied directly to our covenants with God. So as we finish, I'll leave you with this last question to think about. What principle or promise from the word of wisdom stood out to you most today? Maybe it was the idea of it being a gentle principle, or the promise of protection, or maybe one of those specific blessings. Whatever it is, I hope you can take a moment to ponder what the Spirit has been teaching you. Living this law is a journey for sure, and the Lord's grace is always there for us as we try our best to care for these amazing gifts of body and spirit. Thank you for joining us for this quick dive from the Speak Peace to My Soul channel.